Next on our Heat Index, a pair of NFL players trying to make a difference. St. Louis Ram Chris Long and William Hayes went undercover to raise awareness about homelessness, spending a night on the streets. And Jesse is here with their story. Jesse?
Yeah, thanks, Robin. After passing homeless people on their way to the stadium every day, Long and Hayes decided to put themselves in their shoes, going undercover for ESPN's SC featured Life on the Streets. They were given makeup, old clothes, and they went with just a few dollars in their pockets to see what it's really like to be homeless. They are superstars on the field, players for the St. Louis Rams. Now, they have gone undercover to reveal another side of the city they play in.
Excuse me, partner. You spare maybe 50 cents?
On ESPN's SC featured Life on the Streets, two NFL players making a remarkable decision to raise awareness for homelessness by experiencing it for themselves.
That's me, Chris Long of the St. Louis Rams, and that's my teammate, William Hayes.
With the help of the Rams community outreach staff, Long and Hayes transformed themselves, heading out to the streets of St. Louis with no cell phones and a total of $8 in their pockets.
Hey, where y'all just come from?
Just walking down the street in their disguises, they are quickly questioned by police. And outside the home of their Sunday games, they beg for money.
God bless you, man.
The panhandling for me was an eye-opening experience. I didn't get $1.
As darkness falls, another challenge, finding a place to sleep.
Trespassing, man.
Sorry, sir.
On their second try, deciding to camp out in the back of this truck.
It's cold.
I'm about to die right now. It was the worst night I've ever had in my life.
Rising early, Long and Hayes taking one last walk across town, paying a visit to the man that ran them off the night before.
We just wanted to apologize, man.
And just say hello.
His name is Marty. He lives in this abandoned building with many others, like Nancy, who hasn't seen her family in years. The building will be torn down soon.
If I was to put you in extended stay for a month.
You guys would be good. Would that help y'all out a lot?
Yeah. Long and Hayes generously deciding to make sure both Marty and Nancy have a place to stay for the next 2 months.
What I do know more about now is the experience of being homeless and, you know, just what these people might feel for just a day.
Even though Long and Hayes are NFL football players, they quickly realized that life on the streets isn't safe. They had originally planned to stay on the streets for 48 hours, but they ended it after 24 hours because they were concerned that the homeless people they were interacting with might think that they were undercover police officers.
Wow. Yeah. Keeping them in mind. Hey, Jesse, thank you. And we want to join now is one of the players that we just saw going undercover on the streets. Chris Long is good enough to be with us this morning. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. What was the most eye-opening experience for you in all this?
Well, I think it was, honestly, I had a lot of expectations going in, but they were all blown out of the water. It was a human element of it. For me, I'd never felt so invisible. You know, and that's something that while we could never gain the true experience of what it's like to be homeless in just 24 hours, it was never supposed to be a challenge to see if we could tough it out. It was more about putting yourself in somebody's shoes for just a second. And one of the things we were able to gain was that feeling of invisibility. You know, we were panhandling right in front of the Edward Jones Dome where we play football, and not one person recognized us, and there's a big picture of myself and a couple other players right behind us on the dome. We sat outside the dome, and an executive from our team walked by and didn't even recognize us. So that feeling of invisibility, you know, it really struck me and stayed with me. And I kind of asked myself, do I project that same invisibility on people that are displaced and homeless? And you know, I just kind of critique the way I go about things.
Very powerful.
Yeah, Chris, and I know we saw you transform yourself physically, which is why people didn't recognize you. But how did you prepare yourself mentally for this challenge?
Well, for me, you know, it wasn't as much about how do I psych myself up for something like this. It wasn't for me about trying to get through it. It was for me about trying to prepare myself to respect the situation that I'm walking into and be sensitive, you know, in mind and action, you know, beyond just the exercise, you know, into right now. I'm being sensitive to that problem that so many people in America have, that it's a reality for them, and we were just stepping in to try to raise awareness. You know, for us, it wasn't for the longest time about having cameras follow us around. This was something we'd planned to do for a year, to pair an experience with some of the money that we donated as a defensive line for a couple years now. And you know, when ESPN called us, we were a little apprehensive, but you know, I think overall, being able to raise the awareness that a platform like that brings will make it worth it. And some of our apprehensions have kind of gone away, seeing some of the reactions.
And Chris, you say you weren't there to prove you could tough it out, but it did seem like a pretty tough night in the back of that truck, 30 degrees.
Well, it's cold, and you know, St. Louis gets very cold in the winter, and a lot of cities in America get super cold in the winter, and it made you think, you know, this is a cold night, and we on purpose didn't have a lot to kind of cover up. And I've been camping, I've gone out, spent nights outside in colder weather, but you know, you try to imagine and pair that cold and imagine that it's maybe 0 degrees down there in downtown St. Louis, and some of these people that aren't accessing some of the services and the shelters for whatever reason are stuck out in that cold, and maybe they have children. You know, I'm a 270-pound man, but you pair that cold with that feeling of insecurity that these people might have, with that lack of safety that somebody has children with them, or you know, a woman who's far smaller than us. You know, that's a striking feeling.
Just real quick, we saw how you helped both Marty and Nancy find temporary housing. Can you just let us know quickly, have you kept in touch with them? How are they?
Yeah, we've kept in touch with them a little bit. We don't want to smother them and with too many phone calls or bother them too much, because you know, you want help, but some people are very prideful, and I think Marty and Nancy were very nice to let us kind of help them out. And so we call them and check in. As of last week, Marty was still working at the new job he had found as a foreman. And Nancy's accessing services that I don't think she ever would have had we not run into each other. So we were lucky to meet them. Hopefully they were lucky to meet us. And you know, we didn't assume that it was going to be a happy ending right away, because it's so complicated, as you know. But we'll keep in touch with them, and I think just giving a little effort, and hopefully the awareness this raises gives that opportunity for people to maybe set the wheels in motion for something good to happen.
Hey, Chris, bless you and William for doing that and bringing awareness. It's just wonderful, and thank you for being with us this morning. We certainly do appreciate it. You take care. And what he said is so true.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. How many times do you not make eye contact? You don't want to. You look back, and then for him to his picture to be there, people still didn't see him.
Wow.
Educational.
Yeah.